You're watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Hey there, folks. Chuck here, and welcome to Diecast Breakdown. I am joined by my awesome co-hosts, Mr. David Johns.
What's up, everybody?
And Mr. Mark McHotwheel.
How's it going, everybody?
And we have a special double feature today. It's appropriate since our guests are from round two. We have two guests today. They heard Chad show up on the show, and they were like, hey, what about us? And that's not exactly how it happened. But anyway, we got Tony Karamitsos.
You guys doing?
And Mike Groothuis.
Hey, guys.
And Tony, you're one of the brand managers over there at round two, and I believe you're in charge of AutoWorld, Johnny Lightning, the slot cars. Anything I'm missing over there?
Well, American Muscle too.
And American Muscle, scale. Right, the 1/18 scale. And Mike, you've been quite the prolific designer. You've been around for a while, but you're currently the senior art designer at round two?
Yeah, senior art director for basically all the die-cast and the slot car packaging and things like that.
Well, we have gotten a lot of great feedback from our listeners who are very excited to have you on, and we're excited too. And y'all had met up with David and Mark over at Diecast SuperCon, and I was with you all in spirit. So I think, Mike, we're going to start with you real quick because I want to learn a little bit more about how you got into design and how you found your way into the world of diecast creativity.
Well, I went to Western Michigan for my degree in graphic design. And directly out of college, I got a job at an advertising agency in Benton Harbor called ARS Advertising. Well, they transitioned to another company called Compass, and the opportunity came up for me to become a contract employee, still working for the agency, but I would be on site at Playing Mantis in Mishawaka. And naturally, I thoroughly enjoyed what I was doing at Playing Mantis as far as package design, a little bit of vehicle design, and like I was doing all of the news flashes for the club and things like that. And well, the opportunity came up for me to permanently go there, and I took it. And basically, the rest is history because I've always loved cars. I've always loved diecast. And if an opportunity comes up for me to be able to work at a diecast company, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take it. And I did.
Amen.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony, how about you? How'd you end up working for the round two team?
Actually, I started back at Playing Mantis back in, 99, 2000. So I've been with Tom Lowe, Playing Mantis since back then. And actually, it was kind of ironic. A friend was the IT guy there, and he was telling me about this collectible toy company that was in Mishawaka, Indiana. And come to find out, he looked into it. I'm like, oh my God, it's like Giant Lightning's here. I didn't even realize at the time Giant Lightning was here locally. And after, I think, like 5 interviews, I landed the job because they were interviewing guys from all over the country. And so I was taking this other gentleman's place who was actually early on. He did a lot of the tooling development and graphic design for the Johnny Lightning cars. And I took over his position. And from there, I've been with Playing Mantis since, like I said, since early 99, 2000. And then when Tom Lowe sold the company in 2004, I actually worked with RC2 in Oak Brook for a little bit over a year. And then we wanted to move back, and Tom Lowe was starting round two. So I was like one of the main, like the first guys to come back and work with Tom Lowe again at round two. And at the time, he didn't have diecast. He had basically just had like figures and then slot cars. So I was helping out on the slot car and the thing. But overall, we knew where the direction was going to go, and it was going to be into diecast. And then he also got into model kits and things like that. So I've been with designing. I don't do packaging. I've done a couple.
You did one.
But I did one, and I'm really more the car guy as far as until recently. I've pretty much did 100% of the tooling for 18 scale, 64 scale slot cars, and now we're just so busy with new tooling now. We got Mike helping We've got Chad helping on board on a few models. And then we also even have this other lady, Terry, helping out on a couple slot cars. So I've given her a couple projects as well. But I oversee the team. We have a great group of designers there. They're very knowledgeable. They're very creative. There's Shane also. I mentioned Terry, then Diana, and then Mike and I. So we have a really good creative team on board at Round 2. Again, I've been enjoying this. It's been an awesome ride all these years. And to see where I first started and where we are now, it's just incredible. So
That's amazing. And it's interesting seeing that you're from the Playing Mantis era. So did you work with Jeff Koch at all?
Oh yeah, I knew Jeff. Yeah, Jeff Koch.
Okay. Yeah, he's been on the show with us once before. So I ran into him sort of by accident through the Cubbyhole collectibles store in Phoenix, where he sells a bunch of stuff out of that little shop there. And they were like, oh yeah, like I had seen his stuff on Instagram, and I was like, oh, that Toy Pimp. And then they made the introductions, and he came on the show, and it was cool. He got to talk about like the Import Heat series that he kind of helped start with the tuner cars and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I told Jeff he was ahead of his time on that one.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said too, was basically like when it came out, it flopped. And now it's funny because now AutoWorld, which we were joking with Chad about how AutoWorld was predominantly US cars, but it's AutoWorld, and now it's finally starting to get some more imports and exotics in there. And speaking of that, you guys are turning out some real bangers of toolings. I was watching that new tooling showcase and stuff, like the Toyota pickup truck, the different Imprezas. I'm frothing with delight over the Conquest and the Caravan, which is not exotic, but it's something might as well be. Like the fact that there's I don't think I've seen a first generation Caravan on the roads in a very long time. I think the last one I actually saw was at the Chrysler Museum before they closed it. They've got one of the original 84 Voyagers in there. And but my family had an 85 Caravan, and it's just kind of, I remember my family was a vanning family. Like we had a custom blue Dodge Tradesman with pinstriping and the Jack Daniel's whiskey barrel table inside of it and the shag carpet and everything, all the cliches, the slotted mags. And I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure that the reason I exist is because of that van. I may be wrong. But they do have
that's a story for another show.
But they do have pictures of me in a car seat that was just ratchet strapped to the floor of the van because there was no back seat back there. So when the minivan came out, my dad was like, "Yeah, cool. It's like a big van but small." And yeah, it didn't quite continue the trend. It's nothing like that at all. It turns out. So they went in a different direction branding wise.
We'll be back with more Diecast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors. Here's this week's small channel shoutout.
Dan's Chop Shop.
If you have a favorite Diecast channel with less than 700 subscribers and you'd like to see them highlighted on a future episode, email us at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com. The Diecast Media Network store is here. Wear your passion with pride, featuring designs from Diecast Breakdown, Flying Valiant builds, plus unique designs inspired by diecast culture from Justin Ellis. Visit tpublic.com/Diecast Media Network now.
Hey, this is Champion DJK, and you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now back to Diecast Breakdown.
I love the story of why Round 2 is named Round 2. And if one of y'all could explain that to the viewers and the listeners, I think they'd appreciate it. And maybe if we could, I'd like for you guys to lay out all the brands and all the products. I don't think, until I did my research, I didn't fully appreciate the impact on the collectors community, especially here in the States, that Round 2 gives us all as collectors. And I'm not talking about just diecast, I'm the model guys, a slot car. So if one of y'all can just kind of tell us all the players that Round 2 has in the family, in the stable, so that we know all the great products that are out there for us.
Well, round 2, as I mentioned earlier a little bit on that topic, Tom Lowe started Play Mantis back in '94. And jumping into 2004, he sold the company, RC2 at the time, and now they're currently Tomy. And Tom wanted to get back into the things of diecast and slot cars and model kits. Well, he had a non-compete clause for a little while, but he like I said, he still wanted to get back into designing collectible vehicles or figures, things like that. So he started a company called Round 2 back in 2005, 2006, right?
It's something like that. Because
Yeah, right in there. He started very early.
yeah, I've been there 15
then,
years, and you were there before me. So
yeah, he started this other little place and then moved to where he's currently at right now, or we're at right now. But anyway, hence the name Round 2. It's his second time around at his venture of making collectible figures and replicas and diecast, things like that. But as far as the stable of brands, we'll start off with diecast. We have 1/64 scale, we have 1/24 scale, 43rd scale, 32nd, 1/18 scale. We have a huge tooling bank of different scales. Under those brands of diecast, we have Johnny Lightning, AutoWorld, we have Racing Champions, and then we have American Muscle, our 18 scale. So those are our brands as far as diecast go. And then we also do another line. So we have our custom and premium, where we'll do custom runs. For example, let's say you guys wanted to run it with your logo on a car, but we do thousands of programs for customers. Then we also have airplanes, trucks, semis. So we have a huge tooling bank just for other custom vehicles. So those are some of the other product diecasts that we have. In addition, then Round 2 manufactures and produces model kits, 1/25th scale model kits, which are under the AMT and MPC brands. Those brands have been around since the early 60s. Just big names in the model kit world. And then we have our sci-fi with the polar lights and one of my missing there, Mike. Anything else on model kits?
yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking that too.
I know. Oh, Lindbergh Hawk.
Oh,
We have Lindbergh Hawk.
Mhm.
And then we have our AutoWorld slot cars. So not only do we do the model kits, the plastic model kits, we have our slot cars, which are basically like HO 1/64 scale slot cars. Then we also have 1/87 scale HO scale little replicas of the mini metals, what those are called. So basically like for people that collect those scale for trains,
Dioramas and things like that.
Yeah.
Mhm. You
Yeah,
got
it's a
in scale
little
as
different
well in
collector
mini
base.
metal. Yeah.
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 So those are pretty much all the brands. I don't think I'm missing anything.
Yeah, I mean, we do the custom and premium, and a lot of that old tooling is like the Ertl collectibles and some of the old Ertl.
I hope you guys, and I'm talking to the viewers now, I hope you guys took stock at how many brands Tony just rattled off, because if you're out shopping and you see something cool, there's a pretty good chance that Round 2 made it. So just, again, why it's such a treat to have you both here.
We have a huge tooling bank in all scales, 64 scale, 18 scale, the model kits. I mean, there's a lot to know, have a memory or tooling list. There's just a lot that we have to know. And Mike and I, we've been doing this for so long. We have a really good feel on the product lines.
Got into the diecast hobby through being a 1/24 scale, 1/25th scale builder who collected a lot of those old AMT and Lindbergh and Ertl kits. And having seen what you've done with the old AMT and Lindbergh kits, especially with tooling them better, having them show up and not be 50% flashing on them like so many of the kits were by the time I was building them in the 90s and early 2000s, and they were just kind of tired tools, and to not only like engineer everything and make them better, but to bring back the original artwork from the 50s and 60s and 70s. That's super cool. It's funny, I got back into model building around 2008. I grew up building them, didn't build them for a while, and then started building them again in 2008. And I remember Lindbergh was doing this big promotion because they had this Dodge COE semi truck. It was like a green L700 that had I think it was like a 40 Ford junker car on the back of it. And I thought that was so cool. And that kit got me back into building models again. And I'm pretty sure that was that round 2 wasn't there yet. Like they hadn't bought Lindbergh yet. I don't think
Yeah,
in
at that
2008.
point, I don't think so.
No,
No.
not
Yeah.
at that time.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
because yeah,
No.
and they kept promoting this kit that they were going to do with the L700, and it was going to have like a stack of crushed cars on the back, like old 50s crushed cars on it. And I remember being so excited about that. And I actually wrote them. I was like, I'm so excited about this kit, and they were like, we are too, and it never happened. And I was like, looking back on it now, I'm kind of like, yeah, I can see why that wouldn't have happened, because I'm pretty sure that most of the manufacturers don't like the idea of their cars being represented crushed.
Right.
We were talking about
Yeah.
this with another diecast company that many people have heard of, and that has done crushed and damaged vehicles before, and the licensing and stuff that goes into that sort of thing is a little tricky.
They
But
can get a little finicky on things like that.
yeah,
Sure.
understandable.
Absolutely.
But I had a question actually about the design aspect, Tony, because you mentioned you work with like the 118 scale and the 164s as well, and a lot of people think, oh well, you've got it in 118 scale, it's all on computers now, can't you just like reduce by X% and you got the 164 scale? Is it really that simple? I'm guessing it's not.
It is not that easy. That's for sure.
No.
Yeah. The way it assembles, I mean, body lines, I mean, there's so many compromises that you have to make in that kind of scale. I mean, it's great reference material, but yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah, it's great if we need it for reference to send to the factory and to look at, and for us too, for development as a great starting point. But then there's a lot of compromises that we have to, when we're making a 64 scale model, that you can't take from a larger 118 scale to convert it into 64. So you just lose some details in certain areas.
Even little things, like if you're putting vents on the side of a Mustang or something, and they got a certain number of slats in it, it's like, oh, well, it's supposed to have 7 or whatever the number is. By the time it gets to 64 scale, you can only put 4 in there. Of course, we're over here threatening about it. But
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so the thickness of the engravings, we can only go so fine on an engraved line. We can't make it any thinner. There's just certain standards that, or tolerances that we can't change.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get that.
And that kind of echoes what we've talked to other people that have the job of figuring these toolings out, and they say, I will always sacrifice maybe an opening feature or an opening door if it meant it just looks more real. And I kind of get the sense that maybe you guys are of the same mindset, that we just want it to look right.
Yeah. In my personal opinion, when it comes to 64 scale diecast, I don't care for opening doors, only because when you're looking at the diecast itself, I mean, you got these gigantic gaps, and I think it personally takes away from the look of the car. I'd rather just see it closed up the way it's meant to be seen, sitting in a parking lot, and it looks much more realistic.
Agree.
Yeah. I understand there's kind of a pressure though, like, cause it feels like there's almost like a standard that has been kind of set, that if a car is of a certain premium level, it has to at least have an opening hood. And so I know that that's another part of that whole compromise thing. And speaking of the compromises, like, you've got 3 very different brands in Johnny Lightning, AutoWorld, and Racing Champions. And this actually kind of came up as a question from one of our viewers, and he wanted to know, I'm just going to paraphrase from William. He asked that Racing Champions, it's not really like the same scale as Johnny Lightning or AutoWorld, and there are a lot of Johnny Lightning cars from the past manufacturers that are, like, for example, the MGB is considerably bigger than a 164 scale MGB would be, or like Racing Champions, like, infamously had things like the Thunderbird that was like 155th scale or something like that were. So I know those are like legacy vehicles that were there before y'all came along, And can you kind of talk a little bit about the differences? Like if you were to have to break down the differences between Johnny Lightning as a brand, AutoWorld as a brand, and Racing Champions as a brand, like what is the goal with each of them? What is the brand positioning that you have with each of them? Because each of them feels like it fits a different part of the hobby. So I'd love to hear your take on what the differences are between the three and why they are the way that they are.
Well, Johnny Lightning, at the time back during the Plain Mantis days, I mean, we were creating vehicles, especially early on, they were very good, but I mean, they weren't to the detail of what they are now. I mean, early on during that time, that era, the quality was good, but things were just getting better as time went on. But as far as scale go, Giant Lightning never really was meant to be like a true 64 scale. When we would all meet, I mean, it was close to 164 scale, but Tom and
3-inch.
Yeah, basically we want to be around the 3-inch scale, 3.25. I mean, if we were doing let's say a Mini Cooper for some reason, you know what I mean? For example, I mean, that thing would be really small. So we were like, let's make it a little bit bigger just so it feels better. It had some weight to it. I mean, it just felt like you had a nice value that you were holding.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty much Johnny Lightning. But to this day, the new tools that we are creating for Johnny Lightning, we are actually making them to scale as far as all the bodies.
Yep.
Now the wheels, that's a different story. I mean, those are some wheels we may make true to scale, but Giant Lightning just has a huge tooling bank for existing rims and tires, which are a little bit wider or maybe a little bit taller. They're not quite true to scale, but they're very close. I mean, it still gives it a nice presentation, a great look. So that's Johnny Lightning. AutoWorld, well, actually, I'll just jump to Racing Champions. Racing Champions, those tools are before our time when we acquired those from Tony RC2. Well, those tools were done years ago, and they were all over the board as far as scale goes. You had some trucks that were just massive, or you had some let's say a Corvette, which was bigger. I'm like, but then there's their mint line, which were actually pretty good. Some of them were close to scale. They had some really nice features, some jeweled headlock, things like that, detailed chassis. I mean, very, very nice cast. But then some of them were like, what the heck were you guys thinking on some of these? So they were kind of all over the board there as well. Yeah, exactly. But we've taken those castings, though, it brought new life into them. And what do I mean by that? They had these big mirrors on them. And we like to include mirrors on newer casting when we can. But on some of those, we're like, oh my God, they just look bad. So we would remove them because they weren't scaled right. They didn't look right. Just wasn't positioned right. So if you remove them, it actually cleaned that up. And then all the details, all the precision, everything being precise as we are when we're doing the graphics, we want to make sure all the decoration for Racing Champions look correct as well. Look correct on those castings. So we brought new life to those castings. But as I mentioned, scales all over the board. Well, when we were doing AutoWorld, Mike and myself, we all discussed like, hey, what can we do different that no one's really doing, or they've done it, but not quite.
Yeah, it wasn't positioning the entire brand around it and taken very seriously. Yeah.
So we took it extremely seriously, and everything that we designed, new tooling, was everything true to scale, even to the rims and tires. And that was one thing I was like, or Mike and I, hey, what do you think of this? I'm like, man, these are pretty small. I'm like, that's true to scale. The width, those bi-spline tires, where a lot of guys like, oh, that's not right. They're used to other competitors, or their tires are so wide, or even Johnny Lightnings, they're wide. No, and it's like, well, wait a minute, guys, you guys aren't just used to that. But if you look at a real car with those Goodyear Polyglass F70 14
pizza cutters, man,
out there,
wedged right down to the ground.
They were small. So we made sure our rims, our tires, as far as all the body, the proportions, we try to make all true to scale as close as possible. And we're pretty dang close.
As one brand manager to another, I love the AutoWorld branding where it is like, because that AutoWorld is what got me back into collecting. Because I was walking through Walmart not planning on buying anything but I was just like, I'll breeze through the toys for nostalgia's sake, and saw that 76 Buick Estate wagon, which was the car that my grandfather had, and it was in the seafoam blue that he had. And I saw a true 1/64 scale, and I was like, oh, that's novel, because I remember one of the reasons why I got out of it as a kid was, as I was building the bigger scales, it all of a sudden became painfully aware to me that this VW Beetle is not the same scale as this Ford Econoline van. And that was really starting to sit weird with me. And I think from William's comment, which I will not read all of, it's that really weird with him as well. But to have that be a thing, and then it was interesting because that was really cool. And again, I can't get over how much detail y'all put into a car that you can buy for $6 at Walmart. Like, that is incredible.
Me, we take pride in that. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, they are absolutely beautiful.
So. Yep.
And again, I think a lot of people, like, we had this question come up with Chad as well, where people are like, well, what's the deal with Johnny Lightning? And I think a lot of people forget that Johnny Lightning was designed as a racing, they were racing toys first. They were like designed to go down a track. So the scale had to match so it would go down the track well. And that's why you had the hard wheels for such a long time. And because it was designed to race, it was designed to look good, yes, and to be a more premium than the dollar toy. But at the same time, it still had to fit a fixed width, fixed length track type thing in order to go down well. And actually, we just had a guy on who was a racer. Like, he customized and raced diecasts, and he was going on and on about the Johnny Lightning bevels in the old Johnny Lightnings that were made the cars so much faster, the wheels so much faster. But I think it's really cool what you've done with Johnny Lightning, and you're kind of easing it into the true 1/64 scale, so you can kind of have those zingers that are kind of, we're taking a casting from over here and putting it over here, but at the same time reaching that enthusiast need. And I gotta say, I love like, for example, the Ford Ranger, which I bought some stuff from here, and I'm still pretty convinced that Chad snuck this White Lightning into my box. But I don't know how I never get chases, and I order from which, by the way, in case our viewers and listeners don't know, you can actually order straight from Round 2 now.
Absolutely.
And they have quite a few exclusives, and it is definitely worth checking that out, which leads me to another question that we got a few people that asked. And of course, a lot of people want to know about the chase pieces, the White Lightnings, the Ultra Reds, the Ultra Raws. And can you talk a little bit about, there were a lot of questions about the percentage of them made, a lot about the distribution, and tell us a little bit about what goes into deciding how many of those there are. And there was another question that was like, well, how do you know how many go to each country? So let's talk a bit about that.
I'm not sure if you could tell, or if you could figure out how many go to each country, but for sure, White Lightnings are 2% of the run, and they are distributed randomly throughout the production run, so you can pretty much get them anywhere. When we came up with the chase cars for AutoWorld, we decided on the name Ultra Red, and just because people like chase cars so much, I'm like, hey, let's make it 3% instead of 2%, literally just to make them a little bit more available for people, to make them a little bit more collectible and a little bit more obtainable. Granted, it's 1%, but it's still a little bit. And the idea for the Ultra Raws was, I was a collector where I really enjoyed the thrill of the hunt. I mean, when I worked at Playing Mantis, especially, I mean, I'd go to Walmart, I'd go to Meijer before I go to work, and I'd go to look for cars that I actually worked on the pegs. And I just thoroughly enjoyed that thrill. And I only found like one White Lightning, but hey, it was a thrill for me. But for the Ultra Raws, it's like, you know what? Let's make something it's like a golden ticket. It's like the super premium car that if you find it, I mean, that is the ultimate. And it continues to bring you back to the pegs, because I just love the fact that you can find something like that anywhere. So that was the whole idea, just to get people out and looking.
And then,
absolutely.
And then,
then we have the Gold Strikes.
Oh yeah, Racing Champions, they're Gold Strikes, and those are 2%, right, Tony? I think those are 2%. Yeah, but those, same thing. They're completely mixed in, but they have gold features, so it's gold painted, bodies. It could be gold chrome windows, gold chrome wheels. I mean, any combination of that. Usually it's 2 or 3 different
24
traits.
karat.
Absolutely. 24 karat gold.
24 karat gold.
Okay, maybe not.
That's it.
And then if that wasn't enough, let's throw 2 of them in or 4 of them in. Let's do those 2 while we're at it, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic marketing on the 2-packs and the 4-packs, guys.
I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Tom Lowe at Plain Manas was actually the
Originator.
basically the founder, that's the word I was thinking, the originator of the chase car with the Giant Lightning, the White Lightning, and then other companies like Hot Wheels with their treasure hunts and everybody else started doing chase cars because of Tom Lowe started the White Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck, we got to give Chad some props. He did mention that in the interview, so he
did. So
he
gold
brought
star
that
for Chad
to the audience.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. So for those who don't know or missed the Chad episode, which first of all, how dare they? But for those who don't know, can we get a quick definition of what a chase car is?
Basically, it's just a limited, very rare piece from our production run. So basically, if we're doing, let's say, for example, a Giant Lightning muscle cars, US 6-car assortment, we'll do a version A and a version B. Well, we'll do also 6 cars, either from A or version B. It'll be called the White Lightning. And then from there, we'll do some white traits. Could be a pearl white body, a white chassis, white injected tires. Normally we try to do like 3, sometimes 4 traits, but we usually mix up all the traits so it's completely different from on the next run. So those are very, very rare. As Mike mentioned, the White Lightnings are at 2%. And then those are just randomly inserted in cases and randomly distributed in no one knows really where they, in the mass. So you could be just walking through Walmart or Target and peeking through the pegs and find a car that has the same package like the others, but you see some white traits or even maybe some gold traits on it, or chrome gold, or just chrome. You've got something very, very valuable there. So, and those actually on the secondary market are worth actually a lot more. Right? So guys are really collecting those for themselves, but some guys actually sell them to make a profit and support their habit or to buy other cars and whatnot. And then same thing with the AutoWorlds, the Ultra Raws and the Ultra Reds. The Ultra Reds are at 3%. Those have a really bright and kind of deep depth metallic red body color. We also try to include some kind of white trait on there as well. But sometimes we mix it up and it can just be all red traits. It could be just the body color, the ultra red metallic. That color is unique and only used on the ultra red vehicles. And then we'll do it could be a red injected tire, it could be red rims, it could be a red chassis. Those are just some of the other traits for the ultra reds. And then the ultra raws, those are brushed metal bodies that were clear coated then. So they're all just raw metal, but polished with a brush, with a clear over the factory logos that we'll have on there, or if we have any stripes. And then we might include some white traits there as well, or it could be white wheels or white injected tires, or I've even done like a silver injected tire on there as well, or just black tires. So we try to mix it up, and then our gold strike, same thing there as well for racing champions. All those are usually just all gold body color, or we might even do a gold chrome windshield or a gold chrome interior, gold chrome wheels. So we always try to change the traits with our each program, so everything doesn't look the same. If you find another, let's say we rerun that casting down the road, well, we don't want to have the same traits on there as a prior run. Right. So we try to mix it up.
Say for Johnny Lightning, I'm kind of a fan of the hiding the traits a little bit. We don't really do that with AutoWorld or Racing Champions, but I usually work on like the Classic Gold and the Street Freaks, and every once in a while I'll put a nice and loud white tires, gold rims, or something out there that really screams White Lightning. But every once in a while I'll try to sneak something in where it's like just chrome windows and a white chassis. So if you see it on the peg, you might look right past it, and it kind of gives the quote unquote other guy a chance to find it. And I don't know, I just really enjoy that when you just sneak them in there.
Yeah, that's really cool. It makes it, guys hate us, but hey, because like Mike said, the other guys a chance to find something.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I've done in the past where I've done something in the past where the hoods are closed, but I'll have like a white injected engine in
What a
there.
jerk.
Oh, wow.
But there'll be another trait somewhere else
Yeah.
that it's very subtle that you'll have to find. But
Got a white shifter on it.
yeah,
A white dot in the middle of the interior.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll make regular versions that are pearl white or something just to screw you up. So
yeah. But we have fun. We have fun with the chase cars. Yeah, they are. It's fun.
You gotta have fun. You work at a toy company. I mean, I'm sorry, a collectible
Yeah, you have to have
company.
some.
So that's part of the joy of the hobby is you gotta just sit back and enjoy it and have fun with it and enjoy the variety and the opportunities that come along.
oh yeah.
So
Well, we stay so busy there with so many programs daily.
sure.
I mean, it's like nonstop. So it's like we're constantly going to the next one. Then there's all the other stuff that comes along with it, emails or some spreadsheets and reviewing other guys' projects that they've worked on. So we're constantly nonstop. But when we set up our booth and then we're at the other Tom Lowe's other building with all his man cave or when we set up like our display booth with all our product, it's just like you look back, it's like, oh my God, this is just amazing.
It's so
to
nice
see.
to
Don't touch that dial. Diecast Breakdown will be right back after these messages.
This episode of Diecast Breakdown is brought to you by you. That's right. We are 100% viewer and listener supported, and we are so grateful for those of you who have already supported the podcast and the shows we're planning to add to the Diecast Media Network family. You can find out more about how to support this project by visiting diecastmedianetwork.com or email us about sponsoring an episode at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com. The best way you can support what we're doing right now, though, is to subscribe and share these episodes with your family, friends, and Facebook groups. Anyone you think would enjoy what we're doing. Any extra attention we can get early on will go a huge way in helping this project grow. Thank you so much for sharing this journey with us.
Hello, this is Diecast Dude from the Netherlands, and you are watching Diecast Breakdown.
This presentation of Diecast Breakdown is brought to you by Twice Diecast and Dots and Man Diecast on YouTube. Please visit their links in the show notes and subscribe to their channels for more epic Diecast content.
Alright guys, this is Mad Vision here. You guys are watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of Diecast Breakdown.
Got a couple of questions
go for it.
from subscribers, which I think
Sure.
are interesting.
Yeah.
So, guys, the first question is, how will you ever top the Grand Caravan, the Dodge Grand Caravan? And that was from Strictly Diecast. And I was like, that's a great point. How are you guys ever going to top that car? Do you guys just shut the doors, or what?
Yeah.
You guys,
We have peaked at Auto Design.
no.
I don't know. I'm kind of partial to the
I don't-
FJ Cruiser.
No,
so.
you answered that.
The FJ
Yeah.
Cruiser.
Snoozer, as Anthony would say, Anthony Schmidt, PT Snoozer.
Yeah.
David didn't like that one.
Oh.
And then another question was Honest Diecast. Derek at Honest Diecast was asking if you guys plan to focus any more JDM stuff coming out or any Porsche castings in the foreseeable future. I know you guys maybe don't know, but do you guys have any insight on? I know that I myself am loving the JDM stuff. Supras included, Mark IV Supras, and I got that purple special edition one down at the convention. So yeah, myself, I collect a lot of JDM cars, so I know that people are getting excited that more is coming out. Is there any foreseeable, I know without giving anything away fully, is there more JDM cars you guys foresee doing, and maybe European?
Yeah, I mean, you want? I can go on this a little.
Oh,
bit.
I mean, just platitudes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, we're constantly mixing it all up. We're definitely gonna do some JDM cars and other cars along those lines. As far as so we do have some stuff in the works right now. So I know you mentioned Supras. We do have our 82, 84 Celica Supra that's going to be coming out. So that's a really nice one right there. So we do have our Mitsubishis or Nissans and things like that. So we are definitely have some other ones in the works. We haven't started yet, but we have planned for next year as well. Some to keep the JDMs going. So look for additional ones in the future. In addition, you mentioned Porsche. Oh yeah, we would love to do Porsche. The thing is, we have an awesome Porsche casting in our Johnny Lightning, the 911, but trying to get Porsche to give us a license just for one casting, it's just difficult.
Yeah.
Trust me.
It's been kind of a hot
I've been
topic
running.
because it's something that we really want to do. It's like, let's just tool 5 more or something. But I mean,
Well, if we can create enough people making us think about it, maybe we can.
It starts right
So
here.
send your letters to Porsche.
Yeah, there you go.
Send letters. Not
Porsche.
angry. Just
Stuttgart.
ask us. Don't.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
Okay.
want
we
to.
would love to.
Germany.
I want to run.
Yeah.
Definitely want to run that 911 that we have.
Mhm.
It's just a great casting. And then I would definitely love to run some other ones. And I
Mhm.
kept pushing our COO and our legal department, our license members, our licenses, like just reach out to them again. I was like,
Sure.
I want to run this camp. I've got
Use more
customers
exclamation
for
points.
CMV.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me talk.
All
Let me
cap.
talk.
Yeah. So speaking of licensing, David Parker had a question as an IndyCar fan he asked about some specific Indy cars like the 1911 Marmon Wasp or the 65 Lotus. So I imagine this is kind of a similar thing, but are there plans to do more Indy cars with Johnny Lightning had quite a big IndyCar run for a while. Is that something that's looking to come back?
Yeah, I know it's something that
Well,
we
we-
haven't discussed. I mean, as far as direct doing those specific castings, we have not talked about doing those.
Okay.
We had the Indy license probably about, let's see, I don't know now. It's probably been 7 or 8 years
we were
now.
doing
Mike,
pace cars.
developed those. Yeah, we were doing
Yeah.
pace cars. We were doing pace cars in 18 scale. And then we developed Indy cars, like the newer ones, back 7, 8 years ago for our 164 scale. And we actually still use those tools. I just brought those back out not too long ago in our deluxe lineup of AutoWorld with the like a tribute to the Johnny Lightning special. I don't know if you guys saw those or
That
not.
turned out good.
So those were the Johnny Lightning specials. But as far as the older ones, right now we just don't have the Indy license anymore. So, and I'm not sure at this point if we're gonna look into it. Maybe down the road, but right now there's anything up in the works.
Another question that we got from a few people, including Simon's Car Stuff, who specifically asked about the availability of your vehicles in Canada, specifically in the 164 scale. So what are the plans currently? What are some of the countries that you're looking to expand into, if any? Is there plans to I imagine expand globally, but what are some of the challenges there, and is there a plan to get them into other countries?
Yeah, well, we actually definitely we've been talking about that. I was just in another meeting last week, and I've been attending shows in Brazil and Portugal, and I hear guys all the time like, "Hey, we love your product. We can't find it." So we are trying to venture out we do have an international salesperson that handles overseas product. I mean, we do attend shows in Germany. Now, we definitely want to increase that footprint out there. So we are working to definitely grow the company by venturing out into different countries. One of them also being in Canada. I hear guys all the time, "Man, we're in Canada. We see your competitors out here, but why isn't like your AutoWorld in here? Especially, we love your guys' products." So we brought that up again. There was a meeting. One of our salesperson was up with, I guess, the buyer for Canada, Walmart. So there was a presentation. They do want to talk to us again in the near future here, which is coming up quick here. And so we are definitely on the track and working towards getting product into Canada.
Great news.
Good to know.
Yep.
Yeah. I never thought anyone could get model kits back into Walmart, and you guys did that. So well done. I still can't believe that because I remember reading the news article about how Walmart was going to discontinue carrying model kits. And it was such a bummer. Like, it felt like an end of an era. And I was like, well, I guess that's never going to happen again. And you guys did it. You brought them back, which is awesome and such a wonderful thing. It's so great to see those on the shelves again. Hoagie D wanted to know why there was such a strong preference for short bed trucks in the castings. Is there a reason for that? And is there any plans for more long bed versions of trucks?
Is there a specific one, like the 73 to 87 Chevy truck, or was it just in trucks in general?
He just says when it comes to 164 pickup truck castings, there seems to be a lot more short bed toolings than long beds. I'm curious if that's always been a round two company preference.
I think it's just you got to pick one. And if we're going to do one that's a little bit more sporty, we're going to go with the short bed.
Well, the short bed, and the short bed is usually the more collectible one. Yeah. And I say this begrudgingly as the owner of a long bed 77 D100. So
nice.
But yeah, although that MPC 78 Dodge truck kit is a pretty good representation of that. Because MPC, my Dodge is very similar to that 78 kit, so I'm going to backdate it to a 77, which is really just the turn signals at that scale would be the only real difference. So that's my one car. And speaking of which, before I make my impassioned plea that you've already got a 64 Barracuda, please make a 64 Valiant, because that's what my other car is. But before I get into that, Tony, you and Chad have the distinct honor of having your actual cars immortalized in diecast. So tell me a bit about your car and how it became a actual diecast model.
Well, this goes back years ago. So back at Plain Manus, I actually I have a few cars in my stable. I not only do I design the 164th and 118th cars, I also build and restore cars here in my garage. Mainly I do it for myself and some close friends and some family members, but you'll find me out here late at night working on cars. But I've always wanted to replicate my car. And I had the opportunity back at Plain Manus to do my 69 Camaro. But that was with the older tool back in, so there was like a little bit thicker 69 that we had. And then back in 2005, I think, I tooled the newer version that we currently use to this day. It was more updated. And so I did my car back then. But not only did I do that, I have a 69 Impala convertible. I brought that car out as I replicated my car. And I actually even took the picture for the package, and I put, when my boys were younger, I put the two boys at the time, and because we have actually three boys, the one was just a baby, but I had the two boys outside in front of the house and the car, and I took a picture of them and put them on the photo card for Johnny Lightning 69 Impala. So there was a red one that I have. I still own it. It's my very first car. And then I did my third car. So I've done actually three cars and my 94 Camaro LT1 car. So I Z28 car. So I replicated that car as well into diecast. And so, yeah, so I've been pretty lucky and pretty fortunate. Replicated three of my
Tony, just say it, you know a guy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I know a guy.
Tony has a little inside edge. Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know that you still had your first car. I have my first car too. My 64 Valiant is my first car, and I still have it 25 years later. So, it's a rare breed of people that are dogged enough, and some would say foolish enough to hang on to their cars as long as we have. But that you never. I had the car for a while, and the longer I had it, the more people said to me, I would give anything to have my first car again. And it just kind of, I was like, all right, I guess I'm just going to keep this thing. And it just kind of became a challenge, which was tough when I was living in apartments and we were having to tow it from one apartment to another. And we finally got around to,
I know what you mean.
Yeah. But you get this bond with it to the point that I'm actually, this is a shirt my brother designed for me. The Flying Valiant is the name of the car.
Oh, that's cool. Like the Evil Knievel too?
Yeah, exactly. So that was originally, this channel was called Flying Valiant because it was supposed to document my restoration of the car, which I did a terrible job of. And instead I just made it into a custom diecast channel, and then it became Diecast Media Network, which now does this show. But cool. That's really cool. I didn't realize you saw your first car. So
still do a lot of history in that car and all my cars. I mean, I've kept them all this time, but that one just, my dad and I worked on it when I was a kid.
That's really cool.
Just the history with cruising on the streets with my friends and going to prom. My buddy borrowed it for prom, wedding. The kids in there, they took it to prom. I mean, it was just so much history in that car.
Family.
That's just a lot of history. But I do plan on. I talking about diecast again, and you know how I replicate my cars. I do plan on bringing my 69 Camaro because that car has evolved throughout
Sure.
the years on the way it looks and performance, and because I not only do I also race it, I cruise it around, I do shows with it, but I do plan on bringing that one out in 2024.
No, I'm gonna have to pick that one up because
They're all going to be
and-
Tony's cars.
yeah, exactly.
I hope you like Tony's cars.
Mike, you need to get a car in there, man.
Well, he just doesn't want to do my Jeep Cherokee, the 2020. It's just my muscle Jeep.
It'll be a classic eventually, but I was reading up on that because not only is that a 177 mile an hour cruiser that you got there, I think that was the number that I read on. It's pretty peppy, but it's actually kind of it's an amalgam of two cars, isn't it?
Yeah, this car here, it's basically a street car that I pull a trailer with. I'll take my parachute out and put a little receiver in it to pull a trailer, because I do like drag and drive events like Hot Rod Magazine Drag Week, or
Sure.
I got an event coming up next month called Six Summer. That's like 5 days of driving 1,000 miles and then racing every day. So, but I also drive it to work. I drive it to the gym. I mean, it runs on E85 fuel. It's all, modern fuel injected turbo. Basically, it's just got a gear bender overdrive transmission in it. I mean, it's just got
amazing.
The street functions and go the track and run a 7-second pass.
That's amazing. And that kind of goes back to, you guys have got like some drag and drive style trailers coming out too. Is that trailer also based on your trailer?
Yeah, actually the little one is based on, actually my little trailer that I have. A lot of guys use that style too, but that's something no one's really has done yet in the market. And like I said, I attend these events and it's just a blast. And right now, I mean, as far as drag racing goes, there are so many racetracks, so many guys that are just driving their race cars on the street and they're pulling trailers and going to events like this. So we're going to put a little trailer hitch on some of these muscle cars and hook up a little trailer, either being an open trailer or that little small enclosed car trailer. So it's going to be pretty cool. And then we're going to actually replicate guys' cars that race at these events. So you're going to see actual
tie into events and things like that. That'll be good.
Yeah, that's a great
That's
idea.
really awesome.
Kind of like
of that
24 Hours of Lemons series that y'all did.
Yeah,
very
like Chad's car,
mix of cars. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That actually feeds well into another viewer comment. T.O. Toys asked, do you have a custom program for your companies do you have a custom program for companies that want their livery on your existing castings, and what's the minimum quantity?
Yeah, as Mike and I mentioned earlier, we have our custom side of things. It's called custom and premium. So we throughout the years, thousands of customers that reach out to us, and they'll call us, or they'll email us, or even myself when I'm at an event, at a race, and I see guys that have this car, they're racing this car, and we have that casting. And, these are big race teams and could be even small race teams. I'll approach them, say, hey, if you guys are interested in having a custom run, here's my information, reach out to me and I can give you the specifics. But basically, I mean, we have customers from like True Value to guys from like Six Summer, those guys, Tom Bailey. I deal with Asian from Street Outlaws. We do all their custom vehicles, probably 95% of their custom vehicles, because he handles, like, forget some of the names, Murder Nova, Daddy Dave, Chuck 55, Chuck with the Mustang. So there's all these guys that we've replicated cars, and then we do cars for events, cars for shows like the Las Vegas shows, the super things like that. So absolutely, we do customs all the time. So if anyone's interested, reach out to us or reach out to me. I handle that portion of along with everything else that I do. I try to generate new opportunities and new business for the company. But the minimum runs, basically, it's 2,500 pieces to a custom run. And that would include a custom design package. Granted, it would have our branding on there, but it would have your logo or a picture or your history, whatever text copy you would want on the package. And then we would replicate your vehicle. Granted, if we have the tooling, that is, if we had to do a new tool from scratch, that's that becomes a little bit, quite a bit expensive and very time consuming too. So we try to a million. Yeah.
Anything.
Nice.
Yep. But yeah, absolutely. We do custom runs all the time, and we do them for slot cars, 18 scale, mostly 64 scale, but slot cars have been taken off quite a bit in the custom and premium
I
runs.
say basically you can do it on any casting we have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's a
So-
great opportunity.
Yeah. So, Mike, I'd really like to hear about what goes into the process for you as a designer when a new casting or a new run comes along. What goes into creating the design for the overall
For that new
vehicle?
Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, are you talking about designing the casting itself, or are you talking about designing the deco on the vehicle, or what do you mean?
Like,
Yes.
I mean, like, so we got like Tony. We can do all of that, but like, say Tony comes to you and he says, "I'm making this '93 Saturn SL1 for some reason, and look at this beautiful casting that this guy David Johns has been standing outside my house in the front yard holding this sign so long that I finally made this casting. Now do something with it." So
Holding the boom box over. his
So you
head,
get
right?
so you get handed the casting. What happens next?
Well, I guess that's kind of a catch-22 because you wouldn't have the casting without all the development, but you won't be able to develop anything until you can see the casting. So if you're,
Gotcha.
I don't know, if we're specifically talking about just deco on the casting, you're going to have to
Mhm.
research what colors can be done. You're going to have to research exactly what years that particular color has been done. If you're going to be doing the deco for it, you got to recreate all of the logos, all of the emblems, find out what particular trims had different emblems and which particular positions. You got to do all of that. You got to lay out the flat art. So there's going to be, it's basically all the different views of the car itself. And
Mhm.
it's going to get approved by the manufacturer. Then once it's approved, it's sent off to the factory, and we wait about, I don't know, what is it, a month, and we'll get
about
deco
a month.
samples back, and we'll review them. If there's any changes, we'll make those changes then, and if everything's good, it goes to production, and we see it in 6 months.
Nice. So start to finish, if you get a decision or the go ahead to do a casting, like from we're going to do this car to getting the shipment sent over from the factory, how long does that turnaround take?
From
Probably like
developing a casting, or just starting from
Mhm.
flat art?
Like
tools.
starting from the tooling to finish. So like we talked about the deco and the flat art, but like what would it take? Like when you wanted to do the conquest, like how long did that take from start to finish?
I mean, we're talking, 9 months to a year?
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a long time.
Well, that one was
So,
worth it, guys.
People who are
Yeah.
listening, you need to start your campaign real early if you want your car made. Which, like I've said before, a lot of people say, okay, whenever we have a manufacturer on, they're like, can you make this specific car? And I always say, well, we're not going to ask that question because we want them to make our cars first. But what I ask instead is, if somebody wanted to make a request, what is the best way to petition you to express interest in a particular vehicle?
Honestly, there's a lot of different avenues you can go. I mean, it can be as simple as calling up customer service and saying, hey, pass this on to your designers. We frequent a lot of the message boards and things like that, or the Facebook groups and things like that. And if people post things, believe me, we read them, and we have a list that's on our server that's organized by make. We got photos that people have posted, and I mean, we do look at those things, and if people are asking for it, eventually it's probable that it'll happen.
Do you want to just give out Tony's cell phone?
Already did.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. No.
But no, we do listen to everyone, and
Mhm.
you read their comments as Mike said, and then we get quite a few emails, customer service, and where some guys have figured out how to reach us somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we enjoy talking to collectors and going to shows and meeting with everyone. It's a blast. I mean, we love their support, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So it's definitely our listening to the collectors.
It sounds like you guys are on top of it.
Yeah.
Not everybody is. There's a lot of
Yeah, we pay attention.
Manufacturers kind of make.
Yeah.
That's great.
All I'm saying is the 64 Barracuda casting is like 75% of the way to a Valiant. I'm just saying.
Almost there.
Oh.
No, you know,
No,
what we heard, Chuck, from a lot of the comments is, man, just keep the direction you guys are headed in. The stuff,
Indeed.
the stuff in the past, 18, 24 months has just been amazing. I collect a lot of brands, Tony and Mike, and from all over the world. And it's rare that I can name 3 specific castings that recently came out from a single brand that I really, really can just pull right off the top of my head. And your Monte Carlo, your RX-7, and your Conquest jump to my memory every time I think about it. So well done. And that's a lot of the comments we got, the same kudos for whoever is guiding the ship. Steady as she goes, because we love it.
Well, that's great to hear.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks.
Your Christine model alone, especially like the unrestored Christine, just chef's kiss on that one. That one was just beautiful. That is, I think, my favorite casting in my collection, because I like doing weathered stuff and weathered and beat up things, and to be able to make it look as accurate as it did to the movie, right down to the for sale sign in the window, was just fantastic. But guys, we could talk all night and have Tony DJ us through the night while we talked. But I know you guys are busy and it's getting late and we want to let you go. But before we go, we want to let people know where they can find you, follow you, if they want to reach out. What's the best way to do that?
You can follow me on, I have a lot of collectors that I've met in collectors, because I've gone to other shows in different countries or in Vegas or California. So I've met a lot of people, and, there's some people that just want to friendly request me to see what I'm up to as far as diecast on my personal page. You guys want to reach out on my Facebook page? That's fine. That's Tony Karamitsos, or on my Instagram. You mentioned about DJing. That's another one of my other hobbies. I've always enjoyed music and cars since I was a kid, and I'm blessed to be able to do both. I love designing cars. It's just been an awesome ride, and to build cars and to race them, and then to actually DJ and be creative in another way is a blast. I still enjoy it, but you can also, I probably should have had like maybe 2 Instagram pages, maybe one for DJing, one for diecast, and actually maybe 3, and then one for my race cars on me racing. But I've kind of just put it in there. If you look at my name, it says DJ _grind, GRIND1. That would be on Instagram. So once again, DJ _GRIND1. But if you look at it, it says designer, drag racer, DJ.
Coolest guy in the world.
You need multiple pages.
Yeah, I know. And so sometimes I just don't post that much, because I feel like, man, if I put something for my race cars, that's cool. But car guys, the collectors, they'll dig it for some degree. Or if I put something about my DJing, are my car guys really going to care for that? Not really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I probably should have.
Welcome to my world.
Hey,
That's why I didn't just jump out. It's like, hey, you follow me on Instagram. Because you know what?
Yeah.
If you like seeing pictures of my dogs, if you like seeing rocks that I've tumbled, man, that's the place to go.
Oh man! Don't tell my daughter. My 5-year-old just got into rock tumbling, and boy,
I bought like 100 pounds of grit over the past, 4 months.
That's amazing.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. We have 2 of the little like National Geographic ones so we have them both going at the same time. But hey, I feel you on the music and the muscle, because man, those are 2 great sounds that sound great together. So I see the connection there. But and again, everyone go check out Round 2's website. You can buy directly from them. They've got a lot of really great exclusive stuff there. There's a lot of really cool decals and customizing things. And I love the decal sets. I love the wheel sets. Now, please keep those rolling too, because us customizers just absolutely love having as many resources as we can. And guys, I can't thank you enough. This is a true delight. This is a bucket list interview for me. So thank you so much for being here and spending some time with us today.
No, this has been excellent. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, good deal.
Yeah.
well,
Thank you
We'll
guys.
do it again next
It's been a
week.
blast. It's been a pleasure.
No.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
one thing about being and rock tumbling though. So
That's right.
Yeah.
There you go.
there you
Hey,
go.
we got the rock and the roll now.
There we
why
go.
not?
Nice segue there.
Exactly.
There you go.
I can't get any better than that.
Yep.
So on behalf of myself, David, Mark, Tony, Mike, thank you so much for everybody who's watched and listened today. Thank you to our patrons who help make this show go. You can find out more about supporting the show at diecastbreakdown.com, or you can click the little join button at the bottom of this video. Again, everybody who likes and shares, that really helps spread the word about the show. And if you're listening on the audio format, please rate us 5 stars if you can. That would be wonderful. And again, thanks for making it to the end of the episode. We're so glad you're here. And we're looking forward to seeing you in the next one. So until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thanks for listening to Diecast Breakdown. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend to listen in. Find Diecast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. Diecast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the Diecast Media Network.